Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this very, very important webinar on legal metrology matters. I would like to express my sincere thanks to our honorable guest, Dr. Ravinder Kumar Singal, Additional Director General of Police, Controller of Legal Metrology, Maharashtra, for accepting our invitation and joining us today. I would also like to thank our Senior Vice President, Nilesh who will, as a lot of you would know, would take over as the President of the Chamber in another month's time. Dr. Dev Bajpai, Executive Director, Legal and Corporate Affairs and Company Secretary, Hindustan Unilever Limited, and Suhas Tuljapurkar, Co-Chairman, Corporate Governance Committee, Bombay Chamber, and founding partner, Legasis, for agreeing to address us today. Legal metrology provides regulations for the control of measurements and measuring instruments. Legal metrology also provides protection of public safety, the environment, consumers, traders, and is critical to fair trade. With the view to discuss various issues that have an impact on the industry and trade, Bombay Chamber has organized this webinar. As a lot of you would know, Bombay Chamber is the oldest chamber in the country, 186-year-old, and has been at the forefront of growth in trade and commerce. It was set up with a single aim of looking at how corporates can do much better. And today, a lot of our time is spent on looking at how do we handhold MSMEs to ensure that they have a far better understanding of going about business, especially this difficult times. So with that, may I hand it over to our Senior Vice President, Mr. Nilesh Shah, for the welcome address. Nilesh bhai, over to you.
Thank you, Sandeep bhai, Dr. Ravinder Singal, Suhas bhai, and participants. Very good afternoon to you. I'm sure all of you remember the Panchtantra story, where a farmer used to deal with the trader, and he used to buy goods from him, and then give the food grains. One day, the trader questioned the farmer, saying that you are cheating me, because instead of 1 kg of food grain, you are delivering me 850 gram. And the farmer innocently replied that I don't have measurement at home. So whatever you give me in 1 kg lot, I am returning back. Now the trader was caught on the wrong side. Fortunately, now we live in modern era, and hence we have rules and regulations to ensure that the commercial transactions are done fairly. The Legal Metrology Act of 2009 is the primary piece of legislation dealing with legal metrology law. It establishes standards for weighing, measuring, and measuring devices that safeguards the consumers, the environment, and traders, and is particularly concerned with fair trade in India. It tries to create a level playing field whereby there is trust among consumers, the government, business people, and merchants. It regulates unfair trade practices. Today, we are fortunate to have with us Dr. Ravinder Kumar Singal, Additional Director General of Police, Controller of Legal Metrology, Maharashtra, who will enlighten us on many recent aspects of the Legal Metrology Act. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invite and educating our participants. Over to you, Sandeep bhai.
Thank you, Nilesh bhai. And now, Mr. Dev Singal of Hindustan Unilever was supposed to join us and address us today, setting the context to what the discussion would be after this. But last minute, he had some other event to go to, or some internal meeting which has come up. So he sent us a recording message. He just recorded a while back, and we'd like to play it before we hand it over to Suhas Tuljapurkar to do a chat with Dr. Singal. So can we please play the video of Dr. Singal? Sorry, Mr. Dev Bajpai.
Yes.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to set the theme for today, as well as to present to you the industry perspective on the legal metrology law. The legal metrology law was enacted to eliminate obsolete regulations as well as to protect the interests of consumers and at the same time keep the industry free from undue interference. This is in terms of some past judicial precedent that was laid down while interpreting the legal metrology law. The interests of the consumers are protected under the Legal Metrology Act 2009 in the form of detailed declarations that manufacturers, importers, and packers are required to make on their packages. Legal metrology helps in providing standards for the control of measurements and measuring instruments. Legal metrology at the same time safeguards public safety, the environment, customers, and merchants, and it is essential for fair trade. The law, though, has criminal ramifications and offenses under the Act. The industry would like to place a few suggestions for the consideration of the government. The industry's experience has been that the Act and the rules are enforced with a lot of rigor in some states, which is good. However, petty non-compliances that are non-material and do not impact consumers are fairly actively enforced and are tried, like I said, as criminal matters. In the National Workshop on Legal Metrology Act 2009, organized in May 2022, the Foods and Consumer Affairs Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, had stressed the need for simplification and decriminalization of offenses under the Legal Metrology Act for ease of doing business, and asked the states to come to a consensus on this issue so that a draft could be put in place in the public domain for feedback from all stakeholders. The Honorable Minister had suggested to simplify the law and rules as well as decriminalize the law. Among other things, he had then said that there is a need to create an honest system. Further, that there is a need to differentiate between bona fide and mala fide intentions for striking a balance between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. In the above context, the industry would like to make raise a few issues and make a few suggestions for consideration of the ministry. Firstly, we would want to submit that the offenses under the law need to be decriminalized. And in this regard, in July 2020, basis the industry feedback, the Government of India released a consultation proposal for decriminalization of minor offenses and to review the civil and criminal penalties under the Legal Metrology Act in order to consider the suitability for the imposition of criminal liability. The industry's perspective on this issue is that the industry welcomes this. The industry feels that this is a proposal in the right direction. In fact, when the predecessor act to the Legal Metrology Act 2009 was being amended many years ago, the proposal to make the offense free of criminal implications was made even then, but it did not then find favor. In the present proposal, our submission is that the fines proposed for the second offense are too steep, and the proposal seems to have a one-size-fits-all approach. It is submitted that fines need to vary depending on the nature and gravity of the alleged violations. The determination of the punishment should be also viewed keeping in mind whether there was mens rea involved. The industry is of the opinion that it is time that the strict liability principle is dropped from the law. Non-compounding of an alleged violation of the department at the department level should not result in the aggrieved party not having any remedy. The rule of law requires application of principles of natural justice, and as such, an opportunity should always be given to the aggrieved party. Moreover, the broader proposal is to convert the nature of offense from criminal to civil, but the remedy process, other than the appeals under Section 50, seem to be missing. It is for government's consideration if the controller of legal metrology in the states can act as adjudicating officers whose confirmation or order is required before fines can be imposed by the legal metrology officer. And then an appellate authority is also constituted, wherein appeals from the order of an adjudicating officer can be preferred. It is further proposed that offences under the Act be tried by an adjudicating officer in a quasi-judicial officer appointed specifically to adjudicate on offences of legal metrology to ensure that there is quick disposal of cases. The adjudicating officer would be akin to the adjudicating officer appointed under the Food Safety and Standards Act and be a part of the legal metrology department itself. For example, in-house adjudication under Companies Act 2013 is something which can be cited as an example. And in November 2018, under the Companies Amendment Ordinance 2018, in order to reduce court cases, minor offences by companies were decriminalized, and a total of 16 types of corporate offences have been shifted from special courts to in-house adjudication process, increasing the scope of in-house assessment. The second issue that the industry would want to table before the government is on nomination of a director for the purposes of Section 49 of the Legal Metrology Act 2009 and Rule 29 of the Legal Metrology General Rules 2011. As per the procedure laid down under the Legal Metrology Act 2009 and its accompanying rules and regulations, if the accused company has nominated any director as per Rule 29 of the Legal Metrology General Rules 2011, made under Section 49 of the Legal Metrology Act 2009, the legal metrology officer is required to procure a copy of such nomination. If no person is nominated by the accused company, the metrology officer shall procure existing list of directors of the company. If any other person other than responsible person has abetted the commission of the offence, the identity and other details of such person necessary for prosecution should be collected. The industry's perspective and suggestion on this is that the notice should not be issued in the name of director of the company, but in the name of the person responsible. The Supreme Court has recently reiterated that chairman, managing director, executive directors, etc. of a company cannot be summoned in a criminal case if specific allegations about their particular role is not alleged in the complaint, as they cannot be vicariously held liable for the criminal acts of the company. When a company has committed an offense, vicarious liability of the directors cannot be imputed automatically. A person who sought to be made vicariously liable for an offense ought to have a role to play in relation to the incriminating act, and further that such a person should know what is attributed to him to make him liable. This principle is enshrined in several statutes wherein the vicarious liability is fastened to the person in charge and responsible for the operation of unit or conduct of business of the company instead of the directing minds of the company. If there is a scheme of nomination, as there is one in this regulation, provided for in the Act, the same should be followed instead of making all the directors responsible for the alleged offence for which proceedings are commenced. It is in the spirit of Section 49.2, 49.3 of the Legal Metrology Act 2009 that where a valid nomination under the Act exists, other company personnel shall not be held responsible or proceeded against. This has been further validated in a circular issued in 2018 by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, clarifying Section 49.2, read with Rule 29 of the Legal Metrology General Rules 2011. However, industry's experience has been that this is not being entirely followed, and therefore our request is if this can be reiterated to the states and to the legal metrology departments of the states that they should comply with and rely on the circular that has been issued by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Department of Legal Metrology. Further, even if the director of a company are made vicariously liable, there has to be a specific act attributed to the director for the acts committed by or on behalf of the company. Like I said earlier, various courts have time and again held that vicarious liability would not arise simply because the person is a director, unless such director at the material time was in charge of and responsible to the company for the conduct of the business. Further to that, now with the scheme of nomination being in place, only the director who has been nominated should be proceeded against. The nominee director are not directly involved in printing and designing of labels, and hence it is pertinent that the notice is not issued in their name, but in the name of the person responsible when such offences are alleged against a company. The third issue is with respect to manufacturers' right to have different retail prices, which is the dual pricing issue. This is covered under Rule 218(2)(a) of the packaged commodity rules, and it states inter alia that manufacturer, packer, importer cannot declare different MRP on identical packs. While it is understood that the intention behind this rule is to curb restrictive and or unfair trade practice of charging different retail price for identical packs, but the literal interpretation of the rule, however, seems to read in a way that curbs manufacturers' right to have different retail prices for an identical pack in different geographic areas. The wordings of the current rule as it stands seem to restrict all differential pricing or MRP, even if it is justifiable for various reasons, and whether or not it's an unfair stroke restrictive trade practice, as the term used in the said rule is applicable for all the identical pre-packaged commodities. Thus, the rule needs to be amended for ease of doing business. One of the suggestions that industry has is that the government might consider that in some unforeseen circumstances, there must be a provision that provides certain discretionary powers, empowers the director of legal metrology with certain discretionary powers, incorporating an enabling section to empower the director of legal metrology to exempt using his discretionary powers from the provisions of the Act and the rules for valid reasons is recommended by the industry. The last issue that I want to table is with respect to multiple labeling changes on packaged commodities issued by various ministries and departments. While we appreciate the progressive changes in the labeling rules and regulations in the interest of consumers and the industry has witnessed that the regulations undergo amendments and modifications very frequently. The implications of these labeling changes mooted through various category-specific laws such as the Food Safety and Standards, Labeling and Display Regulations 2020, the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940, the Cosmetic Rules of 2020, Legal Metrology and the Packaged Commodity Rules of 2011, and similar other rules and regulations remain an industry-wide issue. Presently, there is no nodal agency that regulates labeling of packaged commodities in an organized manner, and industry struggles with multiple compliance dates and specifically with respect to labeling changes. As the legal metrology packaged commodity rules are administered by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs and the Department of Legal Metrology, and as the administrative ministry concerned, and as the nodal agency concerned, we propose that it can play, we believe that it can play a vital role in streamlining frequent labeling changes to which packaged commodities are subjected to. This leads to a huge amount of complexity, wastage, and cost which can be avoided. A system may be put in place to assimilate all statutory and regulatory mandates from respective ministries and departments around labeling related changes and notifying them twice in a year. Something which is done also in the case of the consolidated FDI policy, where the Ministry of Industry notifies the changes on 2 occasions in a year, which gives a lot of certainty to the industry on the changes that they can expect, and then they can plan and deal with the changes as they come about. We therefore request the department to consider taking a lead role insofar as labeling amendments to packaged commodities are concerned. And towards that end, we request and call for a proposed amendment from other regulators so that all amendments are then discussed amongst all concerned departments and then they are notified on pre-agreed dates. This will bring about a great amount of certainty and the industry would know as to when the labeling changes are being announced and they will then get the time to really implement them. So this is a suggestion that we wanted to make and it is for the kind consideration of the government. With that, thank you for the opportunity for placing the industry's perspective and some of the suggestions that industry has with respect to the Legal Metrology Act and the regulations issued under the same. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Bajpai for setting the context and letting us know as to some of the issues which are there. Before I hand this over to Suhas, I would request all of you to post your questions in the question and answer box so that these can be taken at the end of the session with Dr. Singal. With that, over to you, Suhas.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandeep ji. Thanks a lot, Nilesh bhai. Thanks for gracing this occasion while you're now going to be president-elect for us. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot to Dev Bajpai ji. And a warm welcome, a very good afternoon, and thank you very much, Dr. Ravinder Kumar Singal ji. Sir, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you amongst us. And I have been saddled with one of these responsibilities of introducing you. Your profile, sir, would put any corporate relevant and important, and please pardon me if I'm unable to do justice to reading that out. It's only because of paucity of time that I will not be able to share all the accolades that you have got. Just to kind of, for the sake of audience, I must say, sir, Dr. Singalji has a Bachelor of Engineering as the basic degree. He is Bachelor of Engineering in Electricals. His Master of Arts in Human Rights, Diploma in Information Technology, Diploma in Mass Communication and Journalism, Master of Business Administration, the MBA, and he has PhD in Management Sciences for Crowd Management. Sir, this is kind of a educational background that that would put anybody to shame, sir, because I think in the corporate sector we have seen that even at the best of the most of the CEOs would not have these kind of accolades on the qualification side. Having said that, sir, I think there are about 7 certificate courses, and I will post this resume on to all the audience and all the attendees and make it available. Commendable amongst this is, I think, your illustrious career as an IPS officer for over 25 years. And that's a professional police experience that you have, sir. And thank you very much for sharing this with us. Dr. Singal has managed and planned Kumbh Mela in such a manner in 2003 that this was an honor. And this, I think, was a gratitude that we all must express, sir, to you. Thank you very much for that organization in such a seamless manner that gives confidence. I remember, I had a couple of Swiss guests who had come that point in time for another meeting on a litigation front in India. And when they read in the newspapers that 1 million people were there at the Kumbh Mela, and it went off in such a smooth manner, and the manner in which it was handled, they were completely zapped, sir. Probably that's their entire population of a country. No wonder, therefore, in 2018 in France, you were called the Iron Man. Sir, it's great honor to have you. More importantly, for the audience purpose, I must share this. You have authored various books. You are an avid marathon runner, and you have keen interest in horse riding and pistol shooting. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today. Before I kind of take us through in terms of what are the issues and challenges, I think they've correctly pointed out some of the expectations from the corporate sector. But sir, when it comes to legal metrology, I think we've had this mixed feeling all the time. One, I think while we were growing up, we kind of learned the terminologies, learned to understand in our mind the measures and the weights in a particular way. In a sense, sir, when we talk of in India, we understand kilometers. When we go to the US, it's miles. So actually, I think we got to understand how do I convert 1 mile, 1 kilometer and a mile, how do I use the conversion? When we talk about width, sir, the common phrase is that, मेरा सीना 36 इंच चौड़ा है, वो 36 इंच होता है sir. When we try to when we colloquially kind of look at these things, we say 15 feet sadak ja rahi hai, 60 feet road is going on there. We use sir grams, we use tola, we use chatak, we use kilogram, we use ton, and an older generation like me, we also use man together with ton. So sir, the terminology notwithstanding, what is our thought process and how we kind of structure our mind becomes very, very important and relevant. So, sir, when we talk about land measurements, it's a different story, but the same kind of confusion goes on. When earlier in the profession, I started doing my due diligences on the properties, I think 40 guntas was 1 acre, but now square feet and square meters is required to be done. So square foot is 43,560 square foot on 1 acre. Sir, this setting up of the mind, therefore, right from childhood days appears to be an important element to look at. But sir, at one thing people are saying, this is our tradition. This is the way we have been taught right from beginning. I mean, why should legal metrology today matter? And I think therefore my first question to you, sir, would be, I mean, why should it matter to everybody? Because consumer is at the focus of the economy. It ought to affect everybody, but the fact still remains, there is a question in everybody's mind today as to why should it matter?
Well, thank you so much. In the beginning, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you who are there, and thanks to you, Suhasji, when you had come here and we discussed that we should hold this webinar, and all of you are so know so much of aware of our working, and especially Dev Bajpai ji, who mentioned so many things. In fact, many things which are going on at national level and at international level also. There are many changes which are happening, which we will be talking later on. And Nilesh bhai also, he was also there, and he mentioned few things, and especially Sandeep ji, the introduction and opening the session. Well, why legal metrology is important? I think legal metrology, all aspects of legal metrology are related to everybody. Ultimately, all of us who are attending this session or whoever is there, all are related to legal metrology. Since our birth to death, I always give this example that when we born, our weight is measured, and it should be measured properly, and at our exit also, in Hindu culture or in other cultures, that is measured how much wood will be required, or all these things. This is just a simple example that how intensely we are related to this legal metrology and why this is so important. We all are consumers, as I mentioned. If we, even if we are in industry, we buy certain things, and then we manufacture certain things, and then we sell it, we package it. So at each and every step, we all are related to this weights or measures. So that is why it is very important. The old system where everybody was using different kind of weights for measurement or lengths for measurement, all this thing has changed. Even the volume kind of thing that was measured in a different ways, it cannot happen this way every time. So internationally, a set of system was decided and declared that the way things to be measured would be this. And India accepted that meteorological system. And hence we are signatory to those declarations, and we are following all those rules and laws. That is why it is, that important, and it is intensely related with everybody.
No, sir, I mean, that brings me to kind of another, question is, cluttering of the mind many a times in terms of the phraseology that we use. And therefore, that gives rise to some of the misconceptions. One is, from an individual consumer perspective also. For example, let's take measuring of the height. Right from childhood days, we've been kind of, accustomed to say that I'm 5 feet 4 inch tall or I'm 5 feet 8 inch tall. We don't convert that into centimeter. That's the normal kind of a thinking that we have. So obviously, if I understand 5 feet 8 inches the height, why should it be reflected in centimeters? Does the international law play a role here? Where is this coming from? Understanding the spirit behind why legal metrology becomes important for us.
Yeah, because if we talk in meters, right, then it will be 1.5 meter or maybe 1.25 meters. So it has to be subdivided into the units which are easy to understand. So that is why to the last measuring unit which can be understood by everybody. That is why this system is used, and centimeters or wherever possible millimeters also is used to be more perfect and precise. That is why these we break them into sub units so that we are more precise in telling people. Suppose we are going to measure, say, gold, tola, 10 grams. It is so precious. So there we have to be very, very precise. Or maybe diamonds. The measurement has to be precise because hundred or thousands or lakhs of rupees goes from here to there if we use a vague term. So that is the main contention or the understanding of this thing, that why it has to be so precise in subunits.
No, thank you very much. I think, sir, the tola and the gram on the gold measurement is actually scores the point over, why we need to get ourselves aligned in terms of, the measurement in everybody's mind. Sir, I would like to kind of understand in this space, what are the kind of international laws or the treaties or the international standards which are being followed today all across, and especially, sir, in your department?
Yeah, as I mentioned that we are following these international standards because if wherever we are moving from, say, one country to another country, so we must follow this system. And the headquarter for this, measuring system or the standardized system is in France. So France is the headquarter wherein all these things are decided. That like still some of the countries like UK, they still use the yard system. But if they have to talk on at international platform, they cannot talk on this. So there, everybody is clear that the meter system will be applicable in each and every country. So that is why we are following this, so that everybody is aware of. Like if somebody is traveling in USA, they would say, I require gas in gallons.
Correct.
Which is so confusing. But if that is for that particular country, but if they have to talk that how many gallons, so if they are talking at international, say at a UN conference, they would not say, or they will have to equally tell that this gallon would be these liters or whatever. So this is how things are happening. And if that doesn't happen, then it will be very difficult for commerce to happen, for business to happen internationally. That is why it is so relevant and important This, I think, is the general answer which I would like to
Sure.
give in this reference.
No, thank you very much, sir. I just wanted to understand what are the critical provisions under the laws today, under the Act as well as rules, which we must keep in mind almost all the time, from the business perspective, from the profession perspective. What are these salient features? If you were to pick up 4 or 5 such salient features that we need to keep always in mind.
So there are some important provisions which we have been dealing with. Why I'm saying so is that people from industry or consumers, they get trapped in the sense that they are not aware of those sections. So they are related to many a times for with the measurements, the declarations, packaged commodities, what they have to declare on the, as mentioned by Devji also, that that is one thing, where one area which we also find that many a times, like they fail to specify or mention on their packages, said that this has to be in this dimension, or this should be the complete address. Suppose a person is manufacturing something and he is selling something in Maharashtra. If he doesn't declare that, even if the pin code number is there, still he has not mentioned that Maharashtra. So these things are very, very important, and they are very clearly defined also. Now, there are many cases which come for compounding to me. Most of these cases are like this. In one of the advertisements, somebody had declared that it is they will be selling this house or the carpet area in square feet. So that becomes, visible crime. So there they should have mentioned that, though if they are mentioning in square feet, they should also mention in meters, so that it is safe, because people don't understand that it is. But our people, as per law, they only see this thing. Now, if they have to take the licenses also, so it is specified that certain things needs to be certified in 1 year, certain things in 2 years, and certain things in 5 years, etc. Like for a petrol pump tank, so that has to be certified in 5 years. If they don't do it, then it becomes an offense. Then say for weights and measuring instrument, that should be for 1 year. Again, for there are some classified things which are for the 2 years. This is another thing which I wanted to mention. Then mostly in Maharashtra, when after this 2009 Act was passed, we made the rules in Maharashtra. And in these rules, we purposely did not criminalize those rules. So it is a misnomer, like Devji also, maybe he was talking about from the national perspective. But in Maharashtra, we have already decriminalized that. We only have the compoundable offenses. So this compoundable offense is the one, if there is any violation, then they can be compounded at our deputy controller level or as an appellate authority before me. If they are not satisfied, they can go to the court also, and court will decide through a course of time. They can also be decided under lok adalats also. So these rules and acts, they are also existing now. There could be a short weight or measure or number also. Then there's a section 30 for this. I have mentioned these, and I can share all these with you. If I read all these sections, it will take a lot of time. If there is something specific, I think that would be better. But rules and the Act is very clear on this. And regarding mandatory declarations or certification, there are many changes also happening, which we will be discussing in subsequent talks. This is what I have to say, that there are different sections and plethora of sections which come, and those which generally comes before me, those I have mentioned to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Again, one of the perception is that, while all of us are talking about ease of doing business and decriminalization.
Mhm.
You see, in terms of implementation and in terms of, administratively implementing the provisions of the law. Okay, we have seen that there is some element of respite and ease in Maharashtra, but I think in other states, I think we've encountered different stories. Sir, in your view, what are the suggestions that we can push other state governments to look at in trying to reduce the complexity of compliance? And if I were to give you a headline statistic, sir, we did this exercise in terms of breaking down the entire Legal Metrology Act and all the rules together in terms of understanding how many compliance tasks emerge out of it. And we came to the conclusion that there are almost about 239 tasks under all rules put together under the Legal Metrology Act. Now, not all of them would apply to all the businesses, but these are line item task elements, that many a times, you know, move the businesses to think that this is complex in terms of compliances and does not really augur well with ease of doing business, which we are now attempting to move forward. Sir, your views on this, because it's very important to look at these complexities versus ease of doing business.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you as a citizen also. And if I keep myself in your shoes, this is required a lot. And ease of doing business, there have been many meetings in our state, and at chief secretary level, we have been discussing all these issues. And mostly, one is this decriminalization thing, which we have discussed and decided, and this has been sent to Government of India also. Now, what we can do here, or other states can do, what we have done in Maharashtra is that we have come up with the Vaidyamarpan website. On this, if you are applying for any license, it will be auto-generated. So many states have still not shifted to that system. Now here, the interface or the interaction between our officer and the person who is applying for, say, manufacturing license or for dealership or for something else, then they don't have to go and stand in the queue, or they don't have to again and again go to the officer. Here, you just apply on our website, and it will be automatically pushed, where you will have to just deposit the fees, and on that basis, so this is not happening in many of the states. This you can probably take up. Same with the registration of manufacturers and packers or importers, as I mentioned. So these are two things which I think would be needed. Now, registration of the director, which was mentioned by Devji also. Here also, I would like to say, even the big firms or the industries having the turnover of 800 crores, there's a case, that is why I mentioned this to you, they have not done it. Now, in this case, our officer will have to book, because there is no alternative or option available. When we are holding such a big industry, we are running such a big industry, how is it possible that we are not aware of it? So this is simple thing. On this platform today, I would like to tell everybody that please get it done under relevant section of 49 or some other sections. Please get it done, and you nominate a person for this, so that tomorrow if some action happens, it will only one person will be framed, and accordingly he will be fined, or if you want to take it forward, it will be taken. So this was the third point which I wanted to mention to you under EODB. But here, when you're applying for this, for manufacturing or dealership or whatever, here you can download your certificate also. So one thing is that it is available online also, and secondly, you can also download and you can display in your office. So these are, though they look very small things, but they are innovative steps which have been taken in Maharashtra, and I would like to tell you that you can also take up. In addition to this, I have also issued few circulars under which my officer, if he is visiting any godown or anywhere, he has to tell me in advance, or any officer moving to our staff, to his senior, that he is going there. If he goes there, I have given right to everybody that they have a right to check whether he has taken permission or not. This is another thing which we have done to ease the business in Maharashtra. And but depositing the fine or compoundable amount, you can directly deposit it online. So all these things which have happened in this, I think that's what I have to tell you. Anything else?
No, no, sir, thank you very much for that. And I think congratulations and taking a kind of leadership position in providing even the certificates in the digital form. We've seen even including the central portals, very few of them have this ability. And that gives a lot of confidence in terms of not only the digital space, but it kind of demonstrates the integrity with which I think the entire process is being run. Congratulations and thank you very much for that, sir. Secondly,
I'll just add one more thing.
Sure.
We are actually now heading towards the Maitri system, which is by Government of India here. So all these department who is certifying or issuing any kind of certificate, they all will be interconnected. And in case, say, some verification has to be done, so that can be immediately checked. If somebody has defaulted somewhere, or there's some criminal offense somewhere, all these can be seen through the Maitri portal. So this is another thing which is happening at national level. And we are also part of it. We are doing it.
No, no, sir, thank you. Thank you for that information. And again, I think, sir, before I move on to, the interplay between other enactments, I think this, coming from police manual to look at movement register and then make sure that you have movement register maintained is again a very good kind of a step, sir. These are not small steps. I think they may seem like small steps, but they have a tremendous impact in bringing out integrity and confidence of the business community. So, sir, thank you very much for getting that right, sir. I must say that,
This was needed actually a long time, because I was getting a lot of complaints. So now I'm getting complaints, sir, ऐसा हुआ है. So can you tell us whether this person has the authority to check? So that kind of confidence has come amongst people. So that's a positive advantage.
No, sir, at the very beginning of the career, I have had these, two people, imposing themselves as the inspectors, not in Maharashtra. It happened in Madhya Pradesh, though. And actually, they were not the officers of the state.
Yeah,
That is kind of.
And we have the I-cards also issued under my signature, so that also can be verified, whenever needed. Because they need our people also many times when they go for a genuine work also, then they are attacked, stopped, or this thing. Then local police helps them, or things like that. So that I-card is also there with them.
Correct. So coming to this question about interplay between various enactments with Legal Metrology Act. For example, Section 3 says this is overriding, and I think there is a Supreme Court judgment which holds the fort to say that Legal Metrology Act overrides the IPC, so to speak. And so looking at the interplay between IPC, Legal Metrology Act, also interplay between Consumer Protection Act and Legal Metrology Act. Sir, at times there are these inconsistent issues that come up, but more importantly, I want to understand from your perspective as to how you look at it from the Legal Metrology Department.
Yeah, so IPC, Consumer Protection Act, or Legal Metrology Act, they actually all works in different areas. So basically IPC, as mentioned earlier also, the mens rea is very important in IPC section. Here also I feel that that's the most important. Sometimes by chance, by mistake, though if it is malified intention, then it is a different issue. But bona fidely also many times this thing happens. So that plays a very important role in this. In our Legal Metrology Act, as I mentioned, that it is very clear section wise that what they have to do. Like if you see in IPC in sections, there are few like traffic offenses, they are compoundable. But if they are committing an accident, then it becomes, a different kind of liability, and these different sections will be applied. So there, it is a thin line. Yeah, and whether there was intention also. Suppose somebody has shown a knife to somebody, he has just shown. Somebody has attacked, where he has attacked. So what kind of injury is there, whether minor, grievous, or deadly. So all these things, they are different kind of setup for this thing. And in our case, it is only the Legal Metrology Act and the rules which prevails. We have nothing to do with the Indian Evidence Act. Of course, is there, but the IPC sections, they are different areas of work. And for Consumer Protection Act, this is one which actually we all are working to safeguard the rights of the consumer, to strengthen him, to educate him. All these are part of our charter of duties, and we do it. Now you have mentioned this. Suppose somebody is at a petrol pump and he asks that I want petrol, and if he feels, see, this is his perception. If he feels that he is getting less quantity of petrol, he has a right to get it checked. And on petrol pump, it is mandatory that that petrol pump owner, he should have that cane of 5 liters, wherein he can check that this is the reading in the panel, and this is the amount of petrol which is there. This is one from the consumer protection point of view. Secondly, if somebody is coming to our home to give the domestic gas cylinder, there also we have a right to ask with that person is supposed to have that measuring instrument, wherein it is mentioned on the cylinder also, it is mentioned कि ये कितना weight है cylinder, empty cylinder का, और कितनी उसके अंदर gas है. So there also we can check. So all these are for the Consumer Protection Act, and if there is a violation, then our Legal Metrology Act or the rules, they come into action.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification, sir. One of the critical areas that we have seen where the developments has happened now is the prepackaged commodities and direct selling companies that are getting affected. Because on the prepackaged commodities, notwithstanding the controversy currently on the GST element of the non-prepackaged or what constitutes prepackaged, because they've tied in for the first time probably under GST what constitutes prepackaged in terms of food grains is being today aligned to, let's say, legal metrology principles. But sir, many times it has so happened that the direct selling companies, the distributors, the retailers, all of them, they come into the chain and become responsible as though there is a co-liability, or as though they're liable together.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, when the displays happened or prepackaged commodities get sold, I think the retailer has a very little to do with it. From that perspective, sir, how do we safeguard the retailer?
I missed you there. How to safeguard the retailer, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because many times the retailers, and this is the story with most of the retailers, whether in organized sector or unorganized sector, okay, they are not fully aware about what has to happen, and every time something comes into their shop, that they need to check at micro level what the PCRO requirements are.
Okay.
They are bona fide sellers at the retail level.
Yeah.
Okay. But they get caught in the entire chain.
Mm-hmm. So, they're also, if they see from the consumer point of view, if they put themselves as a consumer in that situation, and they're selling also as a retailer. So I think the rule is clear, and if they are selling something, they must understand the nitty-gritties of law, because they are liable. Though the chain will be in the backward direction, but as a seller, it is their duty to understand and know. Many times, they just change the MRP, or they sell it at a rate which is higher They know it that this is happening. And for your reference, I would like to say that many times we get the complaint that I went to a hotel and that person charged me 25 rupees for that 1 liter water bottle, or maybe for the cold drink. Now this person is not supposed to do it. When he is doing it, he knows there's a mens rea involved, so he is at fault. As for packaging, also, it is very clear you cannot sell anything beyond the displayed price. Like during festival seasons, especially on Diwali and other seasons, they know that the amount of mithai which or the sweets which have to be sold have to be excluded from the weight of the box, but they still do it. Everybody knows it. So here again, he is at default. They're very small things, but as a retailer, I think that is their liability and duty to, if they are doing it, they must tell. They must display that on the counter that this is what is happening. But as per my knowledge, they are liable 100% whatever fault is there, until and unless they have the dictate in writing from the manufacturer or the dealer that this is what has happened. Even if there's a change in MRP, still they cannot sell beyond that rate. They will have to sell everything to the company and they should sell the new stock. So this is the standing position of law in this.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Sir, now one of the areas that we all are grappling today is the digital space. You see, we have website displays. We have various websites that talk about various things. And many times we observe that I think the basic rules relating to standards of weights and measures are not really followed by many websites. That's the reality, sir. Now, therefore, from the point of view of jurisdictional aspects, how do we deal with it? In a sense, if the website is, let's say, of a company based in Delhi who has no business operations in Maharashtra, you still take cognizance of it, and how do we jurisdictionally reach out?
Yeah, this comes under e-commerce, and the rules are becoming quite clear on this. And if there is some importer, then the country of origin or the state of origin, that is one thing which they have to mention on the product which they are selling. And there's a notification also from government that GSR number 629 or June 2017 under LML Act. It is clearly mentioned there. And for this, I'll just read this to you. As per this notification, every e-commerce entity shall ensure the mandatory declarations except, I'm using the word except, the month and year in which the commodity was manufactured or packed. This is the only exclusion which has happened here. Responsibility of the correctness of declaration shall lie with the manufacturer or the seller or the dealer or the importer. So the liability is clear under this e-commerce, and we are also getting a lot of complaints under this provision. But because there's sort of anonymity on this, we are just dealing online with somebody about whom we doesn't know. Suppose there is a manufacturer who is selling his product physically. We know the manufacturer, we know the seller, and we know everything. Here, that anonymity is there, but still, it will be the responsibility of all these four people who are coming in this link. So in this notification, many things have been made very clear to safeguard the rights of the consumer. If consumer has anything to say, he can, and package rule also apply here. If they are not mentioning few things, that or for that also they are liable. So all those things which are existing physically or offline mode, they are applicable there also. But there are some mandatory provisions which they have to additionally do. So that is the difference, and it is being happening quite religiously. Many times we get complaints that they get something which was not, they were not expecting. Suppose somebody has ordered iPhone and they are getting some other phone, so that is not the fault. So there is the criminal angle involved into it.
Correct, correct.
Whoever has sold it, whichever website has done it, they are liable for the punishment. So this is how things are happening, and it's an ongoing process. It will take some more time also, because the payment gateway also is involved into it. Then the OTP number. So there are different aspects involved in it, and if there's some loophole at one end, it can harm the consumer. So all these things are ongoing process, but they are becoming robust now.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. I had this bit of a difficulty, and I'm coming from one of the past experiences, not in state of Maharashtra, but in some other states, sir. So what happened is there was a violation on the PCRO, and the violation was very simply that the shorter address, when it is mentioned in the package, you need, and there is a change in MRP that happened because of the budgets that were announced. So the budgetary impact on the MRP was something that had to be corrected while it was being delivered out of the manufacturing gate. At that point in time, the company thought that they would probably stamp the label and correct the MRP. In the process, I think the shorter address and the logo that is required to be affixed according to the rules was missed out. So the entire batch or two batches went out of the manufacturing place. Now, sir, the inspector was very smart. What he did was he collected one sample, sent one show cause notice. He collected another sample, sent another show cause notice from different district. So almost about 3 such offenses, and as you know, sir, 3 offenses can be clubbed together according to CRPC. Yeah. So obviously he did this smartly by doing it thrice. And this was prior to the new act coming in. It was under the standards of weights and measures. Therefore, the second and compoundable offense was always questionable in that sense. Now, sir, I'm saying we had a tremendous problem and we had to deal with it in a very different manner to understand as to why was this a bona fide action on behalf of the inspector. Could he have avoided giving second show cause notice and the third show cause notice because the batches were same and had the same problem there. So I think we went through the court rulings and got some clarifications at that point in time. But sir, I'm transposing the similar problem when we talk about, let's say, websites and websites in a particular jurisdiction. Now, because if I'm reading a website and therefore part of cause of action arises when I'm kind of reading it, even on my digital device today. The part of cause of action at the same time may arise in different jurisdictions. Sir, is there any way, and today what has happened is, sir, with Consumer Protection Act and the rules having been amended, for every e-commerce, there is a designated compliance officer that has to be recorded on the website. So probably he is the person, we may not say a nominee, but he is the person that we can reach out to, because that is an email ID and that's the person that is supposed to be responsible for compliances on e-commerce portals. We may reach out to him, but at the same time, this multiplicity of proceedings, can that be somehow avoided? Because if, let's say, if manufacturer or packager is willing to and ready to kind of change the manner in which he has committed an offense and he is willing to undergo compounding and ratification, corrects himself or herself up, in that situation, can the multiplicity of proceedings avoided? Especially, this is a question asked by a few of the e-commerce players.
Yeah, as per my knowledge, suppose it is happening in one state, it is possible. Happening in 2 or more states, simultaneously, then it will be difficult. One is that the jurisdiction will be one issue. And secondly, how to communicate with them. Suppose you will only be approaching me, how would I and under what section they have done it? So that could be one problem. But suppose it is happening in one state, as per my knowledge, I think it should be brought to the notice of the highest authority or to the, because they suppose one is, there are two deputy controllers and they have multiplicity of inspectors under them. So one inspector has done in one jurisdiction, another has done in another jurisdiction. So it will come to the controller level. You see, there are two deputy controllers in between. If it comes to us at our level, if the batch is same, similar kind of offenses happen, in my opinion, this can be treated as one offense because it happened at the same time for the same product by the same person. So this is the solution. At national level also, if it happens, that can be brought maybe at the ministry level, they can handle it that way. So I think this is the solution for this, and many times we have also seen it, and we have handled them as one. And because our inspector also doesn't know until unless he is doing it purposely, you see. So that's a separate issue. But otherwise, two inspectors in two different jurisdictions, if they have done it on the complaints received from the people, then I think they are not at fault. The decision will be taken at the highest level, and that is possible.
Sure, sir. No, thank you. Thank you. That's very reassuring, sir. Thank you very much. Sir, I mean, before we move on to understanding what all is happening in Nashik, and that's an interesting perspective that everybody should listen to. I just have one small kind of a question, or let's say a proposition, sir. We want to understand that while we are all moving in the digital era today, from the legal metrology perspective, where do you see us in terms of the department and business community working together to make the digital place safer, better, standardized in terms of weights and measures? What all needs to be done, sir?
So, as far as my knowledge goes, and as far as my practical experience goes, I am seeing that they are working well. Only some areas, especially the remote areas, especially some of the rural areas where we are struggling. Otherwise, we have reached at a level wherein everybody understands, the industry also understands, and our department also understands. Again, I'll say that if there's some intention, different intention existing, then it's a problem. But that is a related to a particular matter. Otherwise, the understanding is good. If they are not, if somebody is not getting the right response, right judgment at the lower level, they come to me, and I have been seeing different kind of cases from different sections of industry, manufacturing, or retail, or whatever. So they understand that this is what is happening, and we are working in unison. And I don't find there is much of a problem existing at the moment. And with a lot of things happen, new things coming up, like decriminalization, which we have mentioned, ease of doing business, we are actually cooperating. I have also taken part in almost 3 seminars of this kind, and we have found that, like new QR coding system, of MRP. Now, this seminar I had attended. So here, if you see as a consumer, like you are also buying many things, say cosmetic products or whatever. Here, if you are buying something, if you are not able to see those details on the package, you will be confused. Then you will have to scan it. QR scanning, then you will see the details on it. Now, think of a person who is at the remote area. He is buying, say, Fair and Lovely product. How would he see whether he has the smartphone or not? So here we are compromising the rights of the consumer. So this is a sort of dilemma, but this is coming up. Maybe it will take a little more time for people to understand and accept it. But this is a positive thing also, and for the many, it is a negative thing also. So these are digitalization, or all these things are going to happen. Like in our case also, now we have decided that everybody should now, instead of doing it manually, they will have to register everything on website. It is creating a lot of problems, especially from the rural areas and remote areas. But they have no option. They will have to. They will be for their safeguarding also, and for us also, because revenue will come to directly to the exchequer. So this is what is happening, and these are the positive aspects which I think will be good for our nation also, for the digitization also, and it will be good.
No, no, good, sir. Thank you very much. I think one largest takeaway that I have in these interaction is that, as a consumer, we are at the center, and I think that not only from the theory of economics, but even from the point of view of regulating various things and stakeholders, if consumer is at the center, I think for protection of the consumer, whatever is happening has to be welcome. Having said that, sir, in terms of awareness, even as you rightly said, a 800 crore company, not yet applying for the license or trying not to get registrations, is an area at times because of the lack of awareness. Although under the law, lack of knowledge of law is no defense. That company ought to invest itself into understanding the legal provisions. But notwithstanding, sir, there is a lot that needs to be done in terms of creating awareness. And while you briefly mentioned to us about your Nasik premises and what you're trying to do in Nasik in terms of creating a complete wherewithal, which will obviously be a landmark in India as well. Sir, we want to hear more. We want businesses to understand that and participate in this journey of creating awareness and putting consumer at the center of legal metrology. Will you just kind of
Thank you so much. You remembered this, and you rightly say that when I see myself as a consumer, I believe that I must be aware of my rights, and the best thing to start this is when we are child. Unfortunately, we don't do it. This I had started when I was, Commissioner Police Nasik, when we had taken up this project and associated ourselves with Nasik first. And this is one NGO which I don't think it is happening anywhere in India, wherein if you have to get a license, even the learning license, you will have to get a formal or the minimal training from them. They have the simulators, they have the proper system, and if you go there, you will believe you will just think where I was come. It is like an international facility which they have created. So there, if you go, you learn many things. And when you get your license, you are already sensitized, how you have to drive, how you have to put your seat belt, how you have to see the side mirrors, what speed, and all these aspects they discuss. That's the beauty there. So, and when I came to this department, I had intense discussion with my officers who supported me and with the Nashik First people also. So they with you. So there, what we have done is that whoever comes there, we have got a big hall there where one we have made a small 19-20 minutes video, which when children groups, so we show them that video. Secondly, how as a consumer we get cheated. I would say not short films, but screens are created wherein they can see how they are cheated. Like and there are two stalls which we have created. One is the ideal one, and one is which is non-ideal, wherein the person get cheated. We have also created a museum there because when I came here, I saw that there were lot of measuring instruments which are from the Britisher times or from Peshwa's time or the other ones. So we got hold of them. They have been displayed there. So when a person goes there, he sees that he gets jabbed. For a packaged item, this is what I have to see. So this is for the sensitization point of view. This is for the learning point of view. Not only this, my belief is that if a person comes there, he is educated. He takes this education back home and he discusses this at home also, with his peer group also, with others also. So this is the advantage of such kind of information dissemination centers. So this is the first of its kind in India, and I'm planning to have 6 more, at least at at our divisional headquarters. We can have this, and this doesn't cost much. Here we had got help from the petroleum companies, which is, I would say, nominal. Otherwise, we spend so much on a lot of activities which I don't want to mention here, but this is one activity wherein we must, this is a social cooperative corporate responsibility, but this is a important responsibility for education of the people. As I mentioned in the beginning, that everybody is associated with this department. So information about this department, commas, it is a must. Even if you ask many people, they hesitate in asking कि मेरे को इतना petrol मिल गया है, तो I should be happy about it. But it is a right. And when that sense comes into him as a child, if he grows, if they start asking questions, I think that will be the purpose which will be solved. Even 100 people, if they get sensitized from this kind of action, I think that will be a very, very good thing happening. More than this, I would also tell you that we have our website also, which is legalmetrology.maharashtra.gov.in. Here also we get complaints, so people can write to us on this. We have our email ID also. So there are many things which have additionally, which this department has done. The advantage of this should be taken by everybody, and this sensitization process is going on, an ongoing process. Twice in a year, we celebrate 2 important days. One is the International Day, which is celebrated in March, and another day celebrated in December. So these are two days which celebrate so that people. So this is how we are dealing these situations. And otherwise, also whenever people come to us openly, I discuss that this is what we are doing and this is your responsibility. Please teach this to your people also. This is what I wanted to tell you on this.
No, sir, from on behalf of the Bombay Chamber, I would kind of take this opportunity that we will reach out to the corporate sector. We will reach out to the companies in terms of making this one of the marquee place, and making sure that the information and resource center that you conceptualized comes to a shape and becomes a landmark for India at least. I'm sure we will all reach out, and Sandeep ji will join me in.
Humbly requesting everybody who is there online today, please think about it, because this is our responsibility. This is for our rights, for the rights of our next generations. So let us all cooperate in this, and let's take it forward.
Sure, sir. I think we are almost coming to an end, but there are about more than a dozen questions that have come up, and I will try to kind of articulate them and seek some responses, sir. To everybody, I think we may not be able to address all these questions, but please write to us. We will reach out to controller, sir, and we will try to address. We will not really comment upon the individual cases here, even if I think they are part of the question. Sir, I'm just going to go one by one, and a couple of them are actually not even worth mentioning. Hi sir, I am Hanumant Singh Gaur. Preparation UPSC CSC के time दिमाग में परेशानी होती है तो उसको क्या करूं? Sir, I am forgetting this question. I'm saying let's kind of not get in there. The second question is license required?
I was expecting this kind of thing.
Sure, sir.
No, please go ahead.
Yeah. No. Second question from Azim is that, is license required if someone repairs a weighing scale or blood pressure checking instrument?
Yeah, weighing scale, yes, and BP, that also, because this is related to the measurement, and even a small error in measurement can lead to a problem. So whoever is doing it for repairing, manufacturing, or dealing in this, they have to have And we have mentioned, this is mentioned on our website also. If there's any confusion, I'll revisit it and we'll get it checked, but it is required.
Yeah. So there's another question from Mr. Vijay Srirangan. Says, sir, one appreciates the need for metrology. However, can you elaborate on reference to legal? What would be the example of illegal metrology in practice? Although I would say that it's a legal metrology is the standardization really is talking about. Sir, please, your call.
So legal metrology, we are legalized to act in a way, or on all the illegal things. So metrology or legal metrology is a department which is legally created. One, that everything should happen in a legal way. If they are not, then we are authorized to act on those illegal activities, or if they are not as per the rules which are created by each state or by according to act. So that is why I don't think there's much in this, but yes, of course, this is what is the reason for this.
So another question from Azim is, if calibration is done of medical equipments, is license required?
Wherever a calibration is needed, anything which is manufactured, when they come out of the industry, they have to be calibrated in a proper way. As I mentioned, for any instrument, this calibration team is done by their experts or the manufacturers. So there are certain things which are beyond our action point of view, but it is expected that they must do it in that way. So there are certain items which have been kept away, where we are still in the process. Like a website, I will tell you this example. We are promised that we will be given 10 Mbps or 100 Mbps. No, nobody is checking it. In my office also, if I do the speed check, net check, I hardly get 100 Mbps for uploading or downloading also. Nobody is taking care of. I have written to Government of India that this should be brought under control of somebody, under legal metrology, I would say. But this is not happening. So there are certain areas which, as I mentioned, it is an ongoing process. Many new things which are coming up. In medical equipments also, many things are coming up. So here I would not be able to give you a specific answer to this, but there are some areas which needs to be taken care of.
Thank you, sir. There is an anonymous question, but it's interesting. There are a number of overlapping laws for various industries in case of labeling requirements, such as pesticide industries. The industry also has to follow labeling requirements of Insecticide Act and rules. This was the one that we were talking in terms of interplay between two enactments, which are almost same that of Legal Metrology Act. Shouldn't such industries be exempted from complying with legal metrology, as it's adding burden on and duplication?
Well, I don't think, because wherever it is related to consumers, whoever, maybe a farmer, he is also consumer there. So he will be buying it. Maybe with the new set of rules coming, like QR coding.
Right.
If they feel that the declarations are more, and this webinar happened, and they mentioned that if they buy an iPhone, the mandatory provisions are too many that they are not getting enough space. So there it came. But here, whatever is related to a consumer or a consumable, that has to follow these rules. And I don't think this can be taken care of. They would have to follow the LML rules.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. There is a question from Sujit Divedi, but this is more personal. I'll just read it out, sir. Not that we expect an answer here on the forum. This is Sujit Divedi. We've already applied for nomination of a director. We are waiting from last 1 month, but still not received. Can I understand what time frame this certificate will come, and please help me understand the process? Sir, while we can ignore the individual complaint, but if you can throw some light on the process part of it, that will be.
Come from Government of India, and they have to write to the director If it is a pan-Indian this thing, then it will come from there. I don't think it is with us because we are not authorized, because this is kept at a national level. So once it comes, then we can follow it.
Sure, sir. Another anonymous, sorry, can I move ahead, sir?
No, my officer also heard it. So you have anything to say? Achha. So he says that maybe it is there's some technical. If you can send to, if you can mail
Yeah,
or
we'll get
do this, we will get it checked.
Sure,
That's
sir.
not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. There's another anonymous question. Can you please tell about Sri Sachindranath Vaishya, controller of legal metrology Assam, who was caught red-handed for collecting the bribe? Why is the legal metrology department not genuinely working? What steps are being taken to improve it? Sir, I'm going to pass this question because
I'll write
okay.
to answer this question.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Because this one is that what I have mentioned, that we are opening this up. We are becoming more transparent. We are on the website also. You have to directly write to us and you will get your certificate. These transparency things, they will reduce all these things. Second to this is, this kind of problem is existing in all the departments.
Yeah.
I don't want to name anybody, and it is in all the areas. So our effort should be to reduce it, to finish it, and we all will have to collaborate into it. So individually, we cannot say or tell any department that this person at this level is indulging into it. So this is a very vague thing, but yes, it is our duty to make it more transparent. And it should be more the interface, less interface between public and this would be there. That will help us. So I think this is also coming down, and in years to come, it will surely be negligible, or it will be at zero tolerance level.
Thank you very much for that reassurance, sir. And we know we have experienced this in Maharashtra for sure. Thank you very much. We have a question from Mr. Balaji. Is the new LMPCR amendment rules a welcome move?
Yeah, I think it is, because it has come out after a lot of deliberations, lot of inputs from everybody, from the industry also, from the consumers also, from the department also, and from the ministry also. All have put in their minds, and it is, as I mentioned, every time I mention that this is an ongoing process. Something new will also come later on. But at presently, what your best suits to the system, like e-commerce, we were 15 years back, but now it is the thing happening. So ongoing process, it will take to come proper shape. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the next question very quickly. Thanks a lot. This is by Mr. Rahul. Please clarify how departments are doing online raid, taking screenshot of the listing of e-commerce portal, as to that will not give you an idea that what inventory is present in the warehouse, as that is just the depiction of listing on the portal. Will that be as good as physical or on-site raid done at the distribution center or storage place? Evidentiary value of such online raids shall face the test of court. Will they face the test of court?
So here it is a very tricky question.
Correct.
On our own, if we check it many times on this pretext, our officers, they go and check the godowns. And when they see it, they find some or the other folly in the system. So if they go there, suo moto, it becomes a problem. If they get, say, at the retailer, then I think the best is when some consumer is facing this problem, then we should have a back linkage. This is my contention in this. Suppose we go and start seizing all these godowns, it become a chaos. And this has happened in one of the areas in Maharashtra state only. And I had to take a very stringent action against that officer. I had to take his rights away. So, and this is important because somebody says that this thing has come from China. So I go and I got the complaint. When it is clear that he should inform us, and if he is not doing so, there are some other intentions in this. I don't agree to such kind of things. If we are having this, and we cannot do this kind of cyber patrolling, which we do in police department, that what is happening in this corner and what is happening in that corner. If we are working for the rights of the consumer and to safeguard the rights of industry also, so we have to be very balanced in this. This is what I feel.
Thank you very much for articulating that, sir. Moving on to the next question. If the manufacturer has made all declarations on the product as per LM Act, but the distributor sells multiple products of the manufacturers as package, and the package does not have correct declaration, then who will be held liable under the LM Act?
I think he has only answered this.
Yes, he has answered that, sir. Mr. Tejpal Panchamia, are we supposed to print MRP on the products that are given free with the product promotion or for the promotion purposes? Can we print not for sale and not print MRP on the promotional products? I think so. There is a specific rule which kind of clarifies this. But please.
But they cannot, because whatever is there, whatever content is there, and whether what ingredients are there, all this information is a must, but not for sale. As you see in many a times they write not for sale. This is complementary with this, but the declaration, as per my knowledge, it is mandatory.
Correct. That's right. Mr. Keshav has asked, as per gram MRP, printing will be applicable for less than 10 gram pack? I'm not too sure what the question is, sir.
Even I could not. Can you repeat this, please?
It says, as per GRAM gram, MRP printing will be applicable for less than 10 gram pack. Not sure.
No. It is not. No? All declaration, other declaration, example. But here one thing is there, the new section, I would like to read this for you. 1st of October 2022, unit sale price has been made mandatory. I think you are aware of this. So I'll just read it, shall be declared on every pre-packed commodity as per gram where net quantity is less than 1 kilogram, and per kilogram where the net quantity is more than 1 kilogram. So these changes have come, or it is similar, it is for the number also. Per number or unit, if any item is sold by number or unit. So there it is required.
So that also answers Mr. Ashtaputri's question, which he said that please clarify the recent amendment on declaration of unit price. That gets answered, sir. As per the new rules with effect from 1st October, along with MRP, do we also have to declare price per unit per kg liter if we are selling 5 kg liter pre-packed packet? I think that also got answered. As per the new rules from 1st of October, along with MRTP, do we also have, that's Mr. Balaji, that's both the questions are identical, and that's answered. If any criminal proceedings are pending under Legal Metrology Act against a person, then whether there is a bar upon that person to travel abroad is the question.
No. It's compoundable, and it is not a heinous crime.
Correct. For pharmaceutical products, we are following labeling requirement of Drugs and Cosmetics Act. However, we are regularly getting show cause notices from metrology offices that customer care number is not mentioned. Since there is specific law for something, there should not be general law applicable. Need clarification. Would you want to take that? Because I think both no two laws are general, both are special enactments. Legal Metrology Act will have an overriding effect over the Drugs and Cosmetics Act when it comes to the
Cosmetics
disclosure.
This our Legal Metrology Act is not applicable to pharmaceutical and cosmetics. It is very clear. Only pharmaceutical, sorry.
Pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
Is there any sub-department which can guide an entrepreneur with respect to necessary compliances which are required for opening of a new business?
I think this is a wonderful question, and this in this direction I'm working. Many a times people tweet me, so I have to tell my officer ki you talk to him. Mr. Tadvi is here in front of me, and many officers are there. So I have to tell them, yeah, please coordinate with him. So they guide. There should be, I agree with him that there should be some platform on which or somebody who can guide them. I think my office can guide them. They can come here. We will be more than happy to guide them, or maybe they can send email or whatever means they want to interact with us.
Yeah, so there's another question. Are there legal metrology experts whom corporates can approach in the initial stage of preparation of documents, stroke instruments, specifically to guide labeling and measurement denomination requirements?
So this is the same thing I think we can, and if needed, let me check if I can do something electronically also. Though all these things are available whenever you apply for this, so whatever documents are needed, they are clearly mentioned there. And still, if they have any doubt, they can call this headquarter officers. We will be more than happy to help them and guide them.
No, thank you very much, sir. I think we've overshot the 4:30 deadline that was given, because that's one of my KRAs to finish in time. I'm kind of overshot by about 7 minutes. But thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot. It was very enlightening. And I think we would want to request you to follow this up subsequently later on with a larger duration in terms of, because there are lots of questions that come up. And I think, sir, this has been an extremely enriching experience for me. I'm sure all the attendees have enriched their knowledge as well as their understanding about legal metrology. Thank you very much, sir. Over to you, Sandeep ji.
Yeah, thanks, Suhas. And I completely agree and second what Suhas just said. Dr. Singal, thanks a lot to you and your team. I think your team has been patiently sitting there, scrutinizing every question which has been asked and then letting us know on each of these. So, and there are many questions. I mean, I can see 26, there are more people writing in. And I'm sure, like Suhas said, that if you had more time, perhaps we could have covered much more. So thanks once again for making time for us, and I'm sure this will be hugely beneficial to our chamber members. And we hope that at some stage we'll come back and help answer more of these questions, give clarity on some of these topics. Thank you, Suhas, for your time, and to Mr. Bajpai, who gave us a recording. I'm sure we'll send it to him. To all the audience who's come in, and our members who participated today. And it was very interactive because we can see so many questions here. So thank you. Thanks once more.
One more request, Sandeep ji. I think I'm taking this liberty because in past I have experienced this. Whenever we had physical meetings and webinars, we used to actually give some kind of a token to all our guests in terms of a photo frame or something of that nature, which is just in memory. I will take the liberty of requesting you that we will reach this out to Dr. Singal.
Absolutely.
And make that happen. I mean, one of the limitations in terms of digital space has been this, saying that we couldn't really actually express our gratitude correctly in the digital space.
Yes, Suhas, we've been doing that, and we will have that sent across to his office. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Singal.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate.
Bombay Chamber is such an old and prestigious chamber. And thanks to Sandeep ji, Suhas ji, Nilesh ji, and Dev ji. It was beautifully organized, and I hope we'll be able to work even better in future. My staff is there. For them also, many new things are happening. They are also in the process of learning. Now they are doing everything online, on the laptops, which we have given to everybody. So all these positive things are happening. There may be some bona fide mistakes from our people also, but they are doing it very well, and we are sending them for trainings also, and everything is happening. We are opening up, and we are becoming more consumer industry oriented department, and in times to come it will be more open, and anything we can do in future, like any queries anybody has, they can always approach us in headquarter or to our officers. If there's any problem, I am there. You can always directly contact me, because this is my duty to handle and sort out all these issues with you. We don't want to create any problem for anybody, for the consumer also, for the industry also, manufacturer, dealers, or whoever. Let us take this forward together so that we all excel together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye.